tell you what, getting disappointed by watching sports sucks. Alright, I've been rooting for the Chennai Super Kings in the IPL every single year since 2008, and this season has been a major disappointment, and it really sucks. Alright, in the last part we were here. This is exactly where we left. Let's hit Alt H and bring back our phone, and let's apply the Boolean modifier on the phone. I'm sorry. Apply a Boolean modifier on the phone for this and for this. Let's hide it. I'm not gonna change it to wire. I mean, I do recommend you changing it to wire, but I'm not doing it because I really. Oh, come on. I just realized that this is too big. It's going through the phone and it should not. I'm just gonna pull it out a little, like that, and so that it does not rip a hole through our phone. And that looks perfect. That looks fine. Alright. What are we going to do next is we are going to be adding in the subsurf finally. So the reason that I didn't add a subsurf is because this is a very dense mesh, and if we added in a subsurf, our workflow might slow down. I usually add in a subsurf towards the end. Actually, I have a habit of doing that. Maybe because I have gotten used to it. But anyways, we can add in a subsurf right now. And the moment that you add a subsurf modifier, you should see this happen, and that looks ugly. That's the ugliest. That's because we are applying the subsurf modifier after applying all of these booleans, and that will never give you a good result. Always have the subsurf at the top. So let's take it up. This is something that I wish that I were using 2.9 for. You can just drag it and drop it over there. But well, I've told you the reason that I'm not using 2.9. Keeps crashing, and can't afford that. Alright, now let's do this. Now, normally what you would do is add in a proximity loop, add in more loops to sharpen the subsurf. But I really don't want to do that, because that's going to give us even more geometry, and I literally added the subsurf towards the end because I don't want to deal with more geometry. So instead of that, what we're going to do is we are going to be doing another trick to sharpen selective areas in a mesh, and that without adding in more geometry, and that is by using the Bevel Modifier. I'll show you how it works, but just make sure that your scale of the object is set to 1, and right after that let's add in a Bevel Modifier. And once it's come, I'm actually going to disable the subsurf in the edit mode just to make my life a lot easier. Just make sure that the Bevel Modifier is above the subsurf modifier. This method will not work if the bevel is below the subsurf. It has to be above the subsurf. Alright, and once you put the bevel above the subsurf, you should notice this happen, and you can already get an idea of what we're doing. So what a proximity loop does in the subsurf method is, you have a normal regular loop over here, and you add in another loop, and you add in another loop. That's 3 loops, right? But alright, the 3 loops are fine to sharpen it, but it just gives you a lot more geometry all over the mesh, and that is unnecessary. So with this method, we are going to be adding those extra loops only where we need it. and that too non-destructively. By that I mean the loops don't really exist until you apply the modifier. So right now the bevel modifier is getting applied to the whole mesh, and we really don't want that. We want to apply it selectively to certain edges of the mesh. And how do we do that? By using the weight limit method. By default, all the vertices, all the edges in our mesh have a weight of 0, and you can see that if you hit N and go into edit mode and select any edge and hit N to open the properties, you should see that our bevel weight is at 0. So we're just going to select the edges that require the beveling, say this one, and we're going to give it a bevel weight of 0.005. If you go all the way to 1, the effect is not going to be there, so is being at 0. So you need to find a nice middle spot between them. And I, for most of the time, I find that 0.005 works the best, and very rarely I go for 0.01. I really don't see myself using any other values. Now let me show you. I'm just gonna sharpen this edge, this edge with 0.005. And now if I go into object mode, you can see that we've sharpened it. And obviously this is not how the phone would look. This looks more like a Play-Doh thing, but we can sharpen it more by changing the number of segments. I'm going to change the number of segments to 3, and I'm going to set an offset of 0.15. And you can see that we have a nice bevel going on there, and it's also sharp. And yeah, you would have noticed that this is not how an Apple charging port would look. Let's correct that by selecting this edge, Control I didn't start this, did I? Yeah, Control Shift R to add in those two symmetric edge loops, and I'm gonna bring it to about here. Let's go into object mode, and you should see that we now have a nice charging port. It's the same process for all these edges that you want sharpened, so therefore I am going to speed up this process and play it as a time lapse for your reference. And here I go. I'm gonna be sharpening this rim, just the borders of it, to give it that nice hard edge look. And at the end of it, you should have this, which looks nice. But you might have noticed that our buttons don't look like buttons anymore. That's because what the bevel does is the bevel sharpens. The bevel modifier just sharpens the edges. The bevel does not average the area out like the subsurf modifier does. So there are going to be times where you have to add in those edge loops, and we are gonna add in those edge loops to average this side out, because there's too much free area over there, and the subsurf is just making it round. And now we have this. Look at that. We have, congratulations, we have officially made our first phone. That really is it. All that is left now is the camera and the bezel, and that is what this tutorial is going to be about. So welcome to this part. Alright, now let's go into the front view and we can see that the bezel goes like this. Now I did try different methods to get the bezel on the same object, on the same mesh, but it was just not working out. I was not able to get this round notch over there. I was not able to get that. So I looked up some models online. I looked up the wireframes of models online, other people's phone models, and I found out that one of the easiest and the best ways to make a bezel is to make it as a separate mesh and then project it onto this mesh. If you don't understand that, follow along. If you did understand that, you might have already figured out what I'm gonna do. So let's add in a plane. I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees along the x-axis and I'm going to scale it down like that to match the phone's bezel. I'm going to scale it up along the z-axis like that. Doesn't have to be accurate, you just have to get it in the ballpark is all. Scale it down along the z-axis just a little. And I'm just going to take this in little. Alright, now I'm gonna be adding an edge loop over here and splitting it into half and adding in a mirror modifier, because why not? Why model the same thing over here and there while you could have just model one side and mirror to the other, because it's a perfectly symmetrical object. Alright, so we've mirrored it. Make sure you enable clipping. And my video just stopped. I don't know why. Something's wrong. And now we are going to inset this. We're going to select this face and do an inset. And you should see that we are getting this face. And to eliminate that face, we're going to hit inset and hit B to eliminate that. And why the heck is that not working? Let's check our face orientations, which is fine really. Why is it not working? Alright, let's do one thing. I don't know why that is not working, but what I am going to do is I'm gonna go back to the step where we added in a mirror modifier. Alright, so before applying the mirror modifier, I'm gonna insert this like that. It's easier actually to do this way. I'm gonna make it match the thing, and I'll scale it along the x-axis to make it thicker at the edges. And with that done, I'm gonna apply a mirror modifier over there, and I'll delete these loops and add in the mirror modifier and enable clipping. That's the problem solved. Alright, with that done, we can add in a subsurf for that. Control 3, I'm going to add in a subsurf. I'm also going to shade it smooth and also bring it out. And now we are going to add in our edge loops. No, actually, before you add in, I'm going to disable the subsurf here. Why am I stammering? I'm going to select these two. I'm going to make sure that the scale of this object is 1. It's not 1. I'm going to apply the scale, and now with these 2 points selected, I'm going to hit Control B and bevel this to match the curvature. Don't worry about the edge being thicker than the actual bezel. Just focus on the curvature. And once you got the curvature done, go and do the same thing to the bottom. Don't do this at the same time. Do the bottom and the top beveling at the same time, because I don't know, it just gives you some weird results. You're free to try it though. That's how you learn. And I'm gonna delete this huge end cone over here. Alright, with that done, I'm gonna enable our subsurf now, and you should see that, which is pretty good. Now with that done, we are going to make this perfect. I'm going to select this edge and double tap G to slide it like that. I'm gonna place it where the I'm gonna trace the notch and place it there. Yeah. So if you guys are here watching this, so tell me, who's your favorite sportsman? You guys watch sports? I watch a lot of cricket actually. Alright, now for this notch over here, I'm gonna be adding in an edge loop. That doesn't matter. I'm gonna be adding in an edge loop, but when you add in an edge loop, you'll see that it kind of copies the orientation of the edge which it's closest to. Instead of having this like a slant curve edge like this, a line like this, I need it to be straight just like this. And we can do that. We can make a loop copy the orientation of another closed loop. So I'm gonna double tap G. With that edge selected, I'm gonna double tap G and I'm gonna hit E. When you hit E, you can see that we get this red dot over here, and this red dot shows which edge the edge is copying, and right now it's copying this edge, and therefore it's going to be straight no matter where it goes. If you hit F, it's going to shift to the next one, so you can see that now it's copying that no matter where it goes. We need to copy this first one, so I'm going to keep the edge over here and I'm going to select this edge and I'm going to extrude it down along the Z axis. And with that done, we actually have a notch. I'm gonna add in a loop over here and bring it about here where the curvature is starting, and also I am going to bring this in. I'm gonna bring this up. No, actually wait, I'm gonna add in a loop over here to tighten that slantness and make the curve, make it more straight. And I'm going to take this inside. It's just tracing the notch, tracing the original shape. This is something that you can spend 10 minutes on or half an hour on, depending on how perfect you want it to be. Alright, now I'm gonna just make sure that these look good. Should have added 5 edges while beveling, probably. Looks like 4 is not enough. It's alright, not a problem, not a big deal. You can just add in a loop over here to be honest, if you ask me. Bring it in. I'm gonna bring this guy out like that. Yeah, I can do the same over here. Turn that up. And now we have our notch. We can, I think we have to thicken this up. No, I don't think so. We don't. I'm gonna add, we didn't have to add that edge. It's alright. Alright, so now we have our notch. I'm gonna take it back like this and place it right. I'm not gonna place it exactly on top of the screen, but I'm gonna place it right before the screen, a little before that. And I'm gonna bring back our cube and our cylinder from here, and I'm gonna add in a Boolean modifier for this too, for the bezel, and make those holes. And with that done, their business here is done. Let's change into wire. And there we go. We have a nice looking bezel. But now that we've done the bezel, we made the bezel, but we still are yet to project the bezel onto the screen, onto the phone, and there is actually a modifier for that, and that is gonna be the shrink wrap modifier. Oh, I love the shrink wrap modifier, man. It's over here under the deform section. I'm gonna take it up, up, up till above the subsurface, because the shrink wrap modifier has the tendency to distort the mesh in like weird ways and create sharp edges, and the subsurf just smooths it out when it's after that. So yeah, anyways, you have the shrink wrap modifier here. Select the eyedropper and select the phone as the target, and now you can see that our bezel is there on the phone. You can try the nearest vertex. I think that's what worked for me. And I'm gonna scale the bezel down a little along the z-axis, ever so slightly, like that, just to make sure that it's inside the screen and not going onto the rims. You'll see why when we do the materials. Hopefully in the next part. This part is gonna be half an hour long, I think. I hope not. I want to finish the modeling in this one. Alright, with that done, you can adjust the offset and see. Also, apply this, make sure your scale is 1 before you apply the shrink wrap, else it's going to distort it in weird ways and the offset is not going to work. Now you can just play with the offset like that. That should be fine. We can always adjust it later. There we go. Now we've done the bezel. Alright, now let's do what iPhones are all about. The cameras. I mean, I really loved. It was impressive, the cameras in the iPhone 12. We're going to back view. Finally, the back view. And I actually struggled with this too. I tried to use the knife. With the phone selected, I tried to use the knife tool on top of it and cut out the camera shape roughly and just extrude out, and I ended up ruining the topology in very bad ways. So, well, if you take a look at this, you can see that the edges of the rim of the camera's panel thing, it's the same material as the phone's back. So even if you add in a different mesh and project it onto the back, just like we did with the bezel with a shrink wrap modifier, there's not really going to be much difference. In fact, if you ask me, you don't even need a shrink wrap modifier. You can just shove it in there. But I'm going to use a shrink wrap modifier. Now let's go into the vacuum. Oh, I was holding Alt instead of Control, and I was wondering why I was not going into vacuum. Alright. I'm gonna add in a cube. I'm gonna scale it down. I'm gonna take it up like that. And I'm going to take it, position it along the I think we might have to hide the phone for this. I'm going to position it where the cameras are, where the camera rim is, and I'm going to scale it along that, and also scale it along the z-axis like that. So as you can see, apparently the iPhone cameras thing is not perfectly squared, it's a little rectangular. One second. I'm using my Osmo as my phone's mount. And now I'm going to scale it along the y-axis, make it slim like that, a little thick though. Take it out. Along the y-axis, and I can bring back our phone here and get out of extreme mode. Now let's add in our subsurf modifier. By adding control 3, there's a subsurf modifier, and I'm going to shade it smooth. And let's add in our proximity loops to get that shape right. No, not yet. No, not yet. I'm gonna select this edge, this face, and I'm gonna inset it to create that rim, and I'm gonna extrude it inwards along the y-axis like that. And that's gonna be my rim, my camera, what is it called really, plate, panel, I don't know. Now, oh my god, and now we can sharpen it with our edge loops. We can give it a shape with our edge loops. That like that. I'm gonna delete these middle, dissolve them in the middle, and scale it up a little maybe, and there we go. That's our camera's plate. I'm just gonna call it plate, and you're gonna bear with me. We can add in an edge loop over here, sharpen that up, and we now have this magnificent looking thing. I'm gonna add in an edge loop over here and bring it out along the y-axis like that, just to create a nice subtle rim. And I'm gonna do the same bevel modifier thing here too. Control A, scale, and change the limit method to weight. Let's select these edge loops and give them a weight of 0.005. Would help. It would help to move this up so a little. And there we go, we now have it. We can bevel this edge. And there we go, we now have the camera plate. Okay, let's shrink wrap this bad boy. I'm gonna change this up to about 4 in the render. Save it before it crashes, because if you are running on a slower computer, it might crash. Let's add an shrink wrap modifier, but before that I'm going to make sure this is as close as possible to the object, like that. I'm going to assign, I'll come to that part. Shrink wrap modifier goes above the subsurf and the bevel, and I'm gonna select the target as the phone. Ouch, that looks bad. What happened? See, what the shrink wrap modifier does is it squishes the entire mesh onto the target mesh, and that's what it's done. It's squished it into our phone, and we don't want that. But however, if we were able to just make this face, this side of the camera panel just stick onto the phone's back, it would be perfect, wouldn't it? And that's what is called a vertex group. We are going to make a group out of these faces by selecting them like that. And let's go into object data properties, and you'll see vertex groups here. Let's make a new vertex group. I'm gonna name it as shrink wrap and hit assign. And I'm also, just to create like a gradual gradient effect, instead of it just, it just coming like this and just getting projected 90 degrees like that, I'm gonna select this edge loop and I'm gonna give it a weight of 0.5, and I'm going to assign that to. And now if we go into our modifiers and enable the shrink wrap and select the shrink wrap group from our vertex groups, you should see that now we have a nice little camera bump. Oh, camera bump, that's what it's called, camera bump. Oh yay, I figured it out. I don't think it would be this thick in an iPhone, so I'm just gonna select these and take that back like that. There we go, that looks more like it. Now let's do the cameras. The cameras, I mean the front cameras too. We still have yet to do the front camera and the speaker over here, so there's still a lot of modeling to be done, and this part is a little long, but I do not mind that because I don't want this to go beyond 4 or 5 parts, including the render. Alright, now I am going to add in a cylinder, make it about 16 vertices, and rotate it along the x-axis 90 degrees. Shade it smooth. Now if you're going for a close-up, you might actually want to go for a higher amount, maybe 32 vertices was good, but we're going to be applying the subsurf anyways, so I really don't think that's necessary. Take it in along the x-axis like that. Let's hide the camera bump and the phone. Let's hide it. We know. Please. I'll be there. I'll be right there. I'll be right there. Okay. It's about walking time with my dog, so he is waiting for me to take him out on a walk. I love my dog. You guys have dogs? If you do, go kiss them for me. I used to have cats too, and I miss my cat. My first pet was a cat actually, and yeah, I really do miss him. I'm gonna delete this face, and this one I'm just gonna make an inset out of it to create the camera's rim. And with that done, I am going to take it in a little like that to create that lens, the camera's lens. And I'm gonna make a couple insets over here. Just make a few insets, you know. It is to make that nice spherical camera look. And with that face selected, turn on proportional editing by clicking this or by using O on your keyboard, and let's grab it, and you should see that that happens. That is not what we want. Use your scroll wheel to reduce the strength of the proportional editing, and we can change our method to inverse square maybe. Is that good? Yeah, it's good. Inverse square, that's what we need. You can take your time if you wanna. You can look at how, because each camera or all three of those cameras serve a different purpose, right? Like one serves for telephoto, one is for the normal, one is the normal camera, and I don't even know what the third one is for. But you can do that because they'll have like different interior looks. But I'm actually not gonna do that. I'm gonna be doing something else, which I will show you in a moment. And I'm just gonna add in an edge loop like this and call it done. I'm not gonna add in Bevel Modifier for this. I mean, this much geometry doesn't bother me, but a lot of geometry does, like on the phone. So it all comes down to, you need to ask yourself, what is the best time to use what method. Now if I did these support loops on the phone, on the body of the phone, it would have costed me a lot of geometry, and especially with the sub modifier added, that is going to be one dense phone. It's going to have so much geometry that you can sculpt it, but this, it really doesn't bother me at all. All right, now unhide the phone and we can, oh shit, I selected everything and moved them. Yeah, all right, select just the camera and move it, place it to where you want it to be. I think that's good enough. I don't think that, alright, I'm gonna select this face. I don't know how many iPhone users are there in the comments saying, no, that's not how an iPhone looks. Dude, come on. It's alright. I had someone say that. That's not how an iPhone looks. Just take the lens inside the rim, because that's how phones are designed, so that the camera lenses don't get scratched. Okay, now with that done, we are going to be making the inside of the camera, and select this, hit Shift S, and you should get this pie menu, and from that let's select cursor to select it. That places the cursor in the middle of that. Now we're going to place a circle in there. Circle, is it? Yeah, circle is fine. Rotated 90 degrees along the x-axis, and I did a mistake. Let's delete that circle, and let's add a circle from the start. Change the vertices to 16. Rotate it 90 degrees along the x-axis. Scale it in like that. Tab a F to fill it up, and scale it down like that to about where the rim is. And since it's already filled, we don't have to worry about it. I'm just going to go into local view. I'm going to make an inset over here, and I am going to extrude it inward a little, and I am going to insert it like that, the same way that we did our camera glass. We are going to do the camera. Which is the camera lens? Which is the camera lens? Is that the lens or this the lens? I mean, usually I think this should be the sensor. No, it's not the sensor, it's glass, it's obviously lens. Okay, I think I need to up my knowledge in mobile cameras. I'm gonna select proportional editing and grab it out like that. So about there. That looks fine to me. And now I'm gonna shade it smooth and correct the normals by using auto smooth, and add in our subsurf, and I will add our edge loops. It would help to disable the subsurf in edit mode. Turn off proportional editing, make sure you do that, else it's going to give you nasty results. Okay, and that's about it. That's our camera lens. I'm just gonna select this and take it out a little, you know, just to give it a little depth. I really don't know how they look, but I think this will pass as a camera. You can go into side view and just make sure that you place it in a nice location like that, where it's not inside the phone but not outside the lens. So I'm just gonna place it over here, I guess, and that is a good place for it to be placed. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm not going to be duplicating this. Instead of that, I'm going to be doing another method which is known as object instancing. Now, what is object instancing? It's just that when you duplicate something, you'll be creating a when you duplicate something, you would be creating two different objects, and that would lead to more data and more geometry. But object instancing is a method where you just create you don't create I mean it's more like a clone instead of a duplicate. It's the same object but same data in as two objects. It helps reduce render time, especially, and I recommend you to use it, especially if you have like multiple objects which look the same. You don't want the renderer to analyze the data of this separately and that separately. Instead of that, you can just analyze it once and apply it everywhere. So I'm gonna select both of these. I'm gonna hit Alt D, which is the shortcut for object instancing. I'm gonna right click and enter X-ray mode. Now I'm gonna grab it in every axis except the y-axis, so that I maintain the y location, and I'm gonna hit Alt D again, and this time take it down along the z-axis and place it over here. With that done, we have now finished our cameras. As simple as that. But do the cameras come out this much? I am not really sure. I'm gonna select these and I'm gonna take them in along the y-axis like that a little bit. I'm gonna select all of these circles, take them out, bring them out like that. That looks good. Actually, I can just take them a little bit inside because they're clipping out just enough so that they don't clip out. And there we go, we've done our cameras. What's left for us is the flash, which is pretty simple. We're just gonna add in a circle of maybe 12 vertices, and we are going to rotate it along 90 degrees along the x-axis, scale it in like that, and take it up. I'm not sure if it's oval or circle. It looks pretty circle to me. I'm gonna enter edit mode. I'm gonna fill it, and I'm gonna bring it out a little. Now I'm gonna extrude it along the y-axis like that. Oh, that's too big, so I'm gonna take it in like that. Alright, hit a subsurf, give it a subsurf, shade it smooth, and give it those nice edge loops. Oh, my phone's battery is low. And that's it. Now I'm gonna duplicate it. I'm not gonna object instance it. I'm gonna duplicate it and scale it down on every axis except the y-axis like that. Scale it down like that, and then take it in along the y-axis, and that's our flash. We still have to do the some kind of a sensor. I'm just going to duplicate this and bring it down and place it in location. I think it should be around here. I'm just going to eyeball it. I'm not going to hide the phone again and do it. There we go. We've done it. We have finished the back side of our phone. All that's left is the front camera, which is fairly pretty easy. it's to actually I'm not gonna model it. I'm just gonna take our camera from here. I'm gonna shift D to duplicate it, rotate it 90 degrees, 180 degrees along the Z axis, and I'm gonna bring it out like that. Go to front view, scale it, go up, take it in, and we're just gonna place it in position. Usually and this is like inside the screen, inside the glass, but I think we don't have to put that glass. If you wanna, you can just hit an F on that and do it, but I don't think it's necessary because using a glass shader, it's just gonna make it all dark and everything, and I assure you there's no difference in doing it like this. This is actually better if you ask me. And one last thing before we finish the model, before we're done with the modeling once and for all, is the speaker. And usually it's this gridish kind of thing, a grid. Wait, let me just check my phone. Yeah, it's kind of a grid. So what I am going to do is I am going to add a plane, rotate it 90 degrees along the x-axis. I'm going to scale it up, down, down. I'm going to scale it down. I'm going to take it here, scale it down again, so it's like about that much. I'm going to go into local view. What happened? Yeah, I'm going to go into local view, and I'm going to add in some edge loops to make it squarish. Yeah, that makes it squarish, and I'm gonna hit a subdivide. I'm gonna subdivide it 2 times, no, 3 times looks good enough, and I'm going to add in the wireframe modifier, and that should create that for us. Alternatively, what you can do is you can select it all, and you can hit F3 and search oak faces, and that would create this. And then you can hit F3 again and search for tries to quads over here, and that was supposed to do something. Okay, I don't know why that's not working again. Is this a mirror thing? It would just create these nice let me just add in the wireframe modifier. I mean, it's not a big deal to have this, but I don't know why that's not working. Let me just check it. Let me just check it, how you do that. But, well, that's how you do it though. Or there is a there's an add-on in Blender called the Honeycomb Add-on. Let me just show you. If you go to edit preferences, and there should be an add-on called extra objects, add mesh extra objects, and when you enable that, you should be able to see something called, oh my god, you should be able to see something called a honeycomb. Yeah, extras, and you can see that honeycomb is there. So what this does is it basically generates a honeycomb for us, that hexagon texture. So you can just increase the number of columns over here to whatever you want. I'm just gonna make it to about 6, 7 maybe, and I'm gonna add in 3 rows. and that ought to be it for me. I'm gonna scale it in like that, take it in here, and ouch, we ought to have done it more, but it's alright, doesn't matter, we can just scale it up like that. Well, then there's no use of doing that. I'm gonna add in another honeycomb. Oh, come on. And this time I'm gonna give it 10 rows and 3 columns. 10 columns and 3 rows, and rotate it 90 degrees along the x-axis. Now I'm going to scale this in like that. Scale it in all the way. Bring it here. Oh my god, you're telling me 10 rows is not enough? It's alright, I'm gonna make my peace with it. So this honeycomb thing is a very nice add-on that you can use. It's giving you options, but I'm gonna go for the plain. It's a very useful add-on, especially if you're trying to. I remember that I once wanted to use that hexagonal design for something, but I ended up actually modeling it and using an array modifier. Well, there was an add-on there the whole time. Didn't know it back then, know it now. So I'm just giving you guys a heads up. Oh. Let's divide it 4 times, and I'm going to add in the wireframe modifier. Too thick, scale it along the y-axis like that, and that should be good. There we go, we have our grid. So, congratulations, you have made your first phone, or at least the first iPhone 12 Pro Max. So congratulations, we have one last thing to do. I will have the link for this image in the description. We're gonna add in an image. Make sure you have enabled the add-on which says import images as planes, so that we are gonna import the Apple logo. And where is it? It's over there. Let's rotate it, bring it down. Where should the logo be? I think it should be over here. Yeah, it should be over there in the middle. We can check it out on look dev mode. We won't be able to see it in our default view, but oh, that's not how the Apple logo should be. You can scale it down like that, and if you wanna, you can shrink wrap it, but I don't think this is something that's worth shrink wrapping. I'm just gonna place it like that and call it a day. So, congratulations, we have officially and finally finished our iPhone 12 Pro Max 3D model. And that's it for now. I will go walk my dog, and I will go have my dinner, and you can join me in the next video where we will add materials to this guy over here. Bye.